For nearly a century, the Loch Ness Monster has been one of the world's most enduring mysteries, drawing scientists, skeptics, and believers alike to its shadowed waters. Scotland's most famous loch, surrounded by mist-shrouded hills and steeped in myth, has long been the stage for a legend that continues to captivate imaginations worldwide. Now, cutting-edge research claims the Loch Ness mystery has finally been cracked. What the scientists discovered hidden under the icy, murky waters is appalling, redrawing all we believed we knew about the legend. Yet first, we must travel back in time and see how the enigma began. If this kind of story touches your heart, if you're someone who cares about truth, responsibility, and speaking up for the voiceless, please like this video, subscribe to our channel Spark Science, and share it with someone who should hear it. Let's get started. The origins of Loch Ness's horror story go back by centuries, deeply rooted in the myths and superstitions of the Scottish Highlands. Well before the legend of Nessie spread around the world, Scotland's residents already shared tales of eerie, supernatural creatures in their rivers and lochs. The Iron Age Celts told of evil water sprites called kelpies. These water sprites, in the form of horses, tempted unwilling victims with them and carried them to a drowned demise. Another Highland legend of terror was the Nachlavi, a grotesque skinless sea monster that spread disease and death wherever it was seen. While audiences today might write off these accounts as myth, to the people of ancient Scotland they were warnings. They weren't read for amusement but to inspire respect, and fear, of the wild, uncontrolled seas that characterized Highland existence. So when the initial reports of a mysterious creature hiding in Loch Ness first emerged, they were not so far out of place. Monster water creatures were already a part of the cultural consciousness, just biding their time before resurfacing. That time was around as long ago as the 6th century, when a renowned Irish monk traveling mission through Scotland named Saint Columba allegedly saw something remarkable. By his own biography, Columba and his companions encountered people burying a man slain by a huge monster in the river Ness, which emerges from the loch. When one of Columba's companions tried to wade the river, the beast re-emerged, prepared to make another attack. But Columba, unfazed, made the sign of the cross and ordered the creature away. According to legend, the beast complied, fleeing in fear. Whatever fact, fiction, or metaphorical story, this early account planted the notion of a menacing beast living in Loch Ness into both religious history and Scottish folklore. For centuries thereafter, the story simmered quietly within local tradition. The Highlands, remote and harsh, were not conducive to stories traveling much further than the area. Roads were bad, and the loch was only accessible to those who resided locally. All that changed in the 20th century. In 1933, a new road, the A82, was built along the north shore of Loch Ness. This modern wonder linked the previously isolated loch to motor traffic and tourism. For the first time, thousands of tourists could drive easily through the region, having sweeping vistas over the water. Incidentally, this road provided the setup for the revitalization of an old legend. The impetus arrived the same year when a pair, George and Aldi Spicer, made a remarkable observation while driving on the new road. They explained a huge animal with a long neck and humped, bulky body walking across the road ahead of their car before it vanished back into the water. The Spicers even said the creature had another animal clamped in its jaws. Its tale was sensational and, once it got picked up by the newspapers, spread like wildfire. This was the first well-publicized modern sighting of the Loch Ness Monster, and it brought the loch onto the international stage. Overnight, Loch Ness changed from a picturesque Highland loch into a center of worldwide attention. But it was one photograph, published in 1934, that fixed the monster in the public imagination. It was referred to as the surgeon's photograph, and it was allegedly taken by London physician Robert Kenneth Wilson. The image was grainy and revealed a snake-like neck and head protruding from the surface of the loch. While out of focus, it fit exactly with Spicer's description and appeared to verify that a living dinosaur-like animal, possibly a plesiosaur, still existed on the planet. The image was disseminated across the globe, spawning films, literature, and toys, and solidifying the picture of Nessie as a long-necked reptilian monster. It was considered the final evidence of the monster's existence for decades. That fantasy was broken 60 years later. In 1994, Christian Sperling, the stepson of big game hunter Marmaduke Wetherell, admitted on his deathbed that the famous photograph was a fabrication. Wetherell, ridiculed by the Daily Mail when he couldn't locate the monster, had planned the hoax as revenge. Sperling constructed a phony head and neck on a toy submarine, took pictures, and sent them along via Wilson. The news shook the world. The most enduring image of evidence was a clever hoax. Other alleged proofs, such as the flipper photo of the 1970s and innumerable grainy photographs, were similarly later proven to be hoaxes or misidentifications. Hoaxes notwithstanding, the hunt for Nessie became more advanced. Sonar technology was used to sweep the loch bottom by the 1960s. The Loch Ness Investigation Bureau organized decades of expeditions, capturing cryptic sonar blips and echoes that suggested big, mobile objects beneath the water. These results, though not conclusive, left open the possibility that something genuinely mysterious lay hidden beneath the surface. Dr. Robert Rines of the Boston-based Academy of Applied Science in 1975 linked sonar with underwater photography, taking what appeared to be a flipper-shaped appendage. Science seemed, momentarily, about to demonstrate Nessie's existence. The greatest endeavor was made in 1987 with Operation DeepScan, when 20 sonar-equipped boats combed the loch from end to end. Hope flew high when scientists picked up an enormous, unidentifiable shape 600 feet underwater. Again, however, no monster materialized, and doubts resurfaced. The loch's special conditions, its depth, dark water, and changing temperatures, made it one of the most difficult sites on the planet to research. The myth lingered, but science couldn't provide a guarantee. That all changed when environmental DNA, or EDNA, arrived on the scene as a groundbreaking technique enabling scientists to find tiny amounts of genetic material left behind by organisms in water. In 2018, University of Otago professor Neil Gemmell set out to conduct a gargantuan EDNA survey of Loch Ness, taking more than 250 water samples from all around the loch. What followed was historic. There was no DNA trace of any prehistoric reptile or foreign animal, killing forever the plesiosaur myth. What they found, however, was something startling, a whopping dominance of eel DNA. This presented a much more credible explanation. European eels live in Loch Ness, and travel thousands of miles from the Sargasso Sea to live in freshwater lochs. While most are small, they are capable of growing very large through a condition known as gigantism. A huge eel, a few meters long, swimming near the surface in the dark waters of the loch, would easily be mistaken for the mythical creature. Its coiled body moving through the water could give the impression of several humps, and a glimpse of its head breaking through the surface could be mistaken for the mythical plesiosaur neck. While less imaginative than a dinosaur, the theory of the giant eel is elegantly effective in describing decades of appearances. It demonstrates how folklore, psychology, and natural phenomena can combine into a legend. Imagination on the part of humans was instrumental, fueled by centuries of tales and cultural expectation. Logs, waves, and boat wakes became monsters in the perceptions of viewers who came to Loch Ness already eager to catch a glimpse of one. Hoaxes added weight to the myth, and the murky waters of the loch created the ideal setting for deception. But even with science providing rational explanations, not all mysteries have been put to rest. The sonar readings of the 1970s, recording large objects gliding steadily through the water, are still unexplained. The celebrated Dinsdale film of 1960, which showed a dark form moving across the loch, continues to polarize experts. Some believe it to be a live animal, others a boat wake. And the loch itself, deeper than the North Sea and containing peat that soaks up light, is a region where secrets might, at least in theory, remain hidden forever. Aside from the question of whether Nessie exists or not, the creature's influence on the outside world is undeniable. The monster has driven a multi-million-pound tourism sector in the Highlands. Thousands visit Drumnadrochit and nearby villages every year hoping to catch a glimpse of the mythical beast. Nessie merchandise fills shop shelves, boat trips offer sighting guarantees, and the legend has become indistinguishable from Scottish identity itself. Far more than a monster, Nessie has become a brand, a metaphor for the Highlands' mystique, and an indication of humanity's desire for wonder. In the end, after decades of photographs, hoaxes, expeditions, and high-tech science, the Loch Ness Monster enigma seems solved. There is no dinosaur inside the loch. The most plausible explanation is giant eels and human imagination. But that does not debunk the tale, it enriches it. Nessie survives not due to proof but due to faith. The legend speaks to the desire for something mysterious in a world that in many ways is too calculable, our desire to think there is something untamed and unexplained still in existence. As is Bigfoot in North America